This is Made to Talk, a weekly podcast about the ins and outs of building and maintaining a successful and reputable cleaning company. Now here's your host, Raquel.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Made to Talk. Today we have two very special guests in studio. I would like to give fair warning to our listeners to grab a box of tissue for today's episode. There is only 35 people in the world diagnosed with Labrune syndrome. This is a rare genetic disorder that affects the nervous system. It is characterized by spasticity, stiffness, and weakness in the limbs, difficulty with speech and swallowing, as well as developmental delays. Other symptoms may include vision problems, hearing loss, and intellectual disability. The Switzer family reside in Sherwood Park, Alberta, and their daughters Hala and Ayva both suffer from this terminal illness. Sadly, on February 5th, Hala took her final breath and lost her battle with Labrune syndrome. As the family is trying to move forward from this tremendous loss, the family is now focusing on Ayva's journey. Please welcome Lindsey and Ayva to the studio.
Our condolences to the Switzer family. They recently lost their 15-year-old daughter to the extremely rare Labrune syndrome, and their 18-year-old daughter is dealing with the same life-limiting disorder. The family is currently raising money to pay for medication that slows the progression of the disease. Unfortunately, the medication is $3,000 a week for 1 year. Sparkle and Sheen is accepting donations and offering Sparkle and Sheen bucks to any of our clients that would like to donate. If you make a donation of $25, you'll receive 10 Sparkle and Sheen bucks. 50 equals 25, $100 equals 50 SNS bucks. E-transfer your donation to payments at sparkleandsheen.ca with the message Switzer donation. 100% of the proceeds will be going to the Switzer family.
Hi guys, I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. Hi Ayva. So my first question today is actually going to be for both of you because obviously it pertains to the two of you. So I'm just kind of wondering if you can kind of tell me a little bit about Labrune syndrome and how it has affected your life. Whoever would like to go first.
Oh, I think I'll go first.
Excellent.
That's a big question. Okay, first I'll tell you what I know of the disease and sort of a summary. So it's a genetic, life-limiting disease where there's calcification and cysts that progressively develop on the brain. And as we know, the brain sort of controls every part of our body, our thinking, all of that. So as different parts of the brain are damaged by calcification or cysts, then you can see clinically or like by looking at someone that something is being impacted. So there's no cure. And one of the big outward symptoms of it for my girls has been seizures. That was kind of the first indicator that there was something wrong with both of them when they were born. So when Ayva was born, she started having seizures when she was 2 weeks old. And as a new mom, I didn't really know what it was. I was young-ish. I was 26, and I think there was a couple days where she was just doing some odd sort of eye-rolling stuff, and I'd ask some questions of people, and everybody said, oh, they're just babies. They just do weird things. And then probably the third day I saw her do something, it was her arm was moving. No, something's wrong. So brought her to the stallery, and that started our adventure of basically the stallery being our second home. But we came in, she was seizing in my hands, and the nurses and the doctors took her away. And so that was the start. At that point, she was so little, like they did a lot of scans and testing, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. I think when we were discharged, they discharged her with benign infantile spasms, just saying, we don't know why she's having seizures, but here's some medication that's going to help, and it'll just go away. So that's basically what we thought was going on with Ayva until we had Hala. So 3 years later, we had Hala. Hala at 3 weeks of age had seizures. And I remember saying to my, now ex-husband, I just said, I don't know if I'm making this up, but she's doing the same thing Ayva did. And so we kind of watched, and we brought Hala to the doctor because we kind of knew the signs. They said, no, nothing's happening here. You're just projecting this because it happened to Ayva, and sent us home. And then we just recorded them. So we videotaped them because what else do you do? We see them, it's happening. So we recorded them, brought the video and Hala back to the hospital, and they said, oh, we've never seen anything like this. So more testing on her. Again, they didn't know what it was, but it likely wasn't this benign infantile spasms because they both had it. So clearly there was a genetic component of some kind. So then they started Hala on the medication that Ayva had started on, phenobarbital. We thought we were going to go down the same route. But then Hala didn't really bounce back out of it quite like Ayva did. So Ayva was able to be weaned off of that seizure medication at a year old, and was, developing really well. And they just thought, okay, it was a blip. Hala at about 6 months, couldn't eat anymore, and she had seizures that wouldn't stop. So she ended up having to be admitted back in the hospital. She was there for about 6 or 7 weeks that time. Just nobody really understood what was happening. So they loaded her up with a lot of seizure medication, which sedates her quite a bit. So she was sleeping 23 hours a day.
Wow.
And lost just whatever skills you have up until 6 months, like rolling over or sitting. She wasn't able to do all those things anymore. And then she couldn't eat. So all the medication made her so weak that even her swallowing muscles were really weak. So she had to be tube fed. And so we came home with her being tube fed. And during that time, they did another scan of her brain and then compared it to the one they did when she was a newborn, and started to see something that they couldn't quite figure out what it was. They said there's white spots on her brain. Okay, well, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. So they just kind of followed her, and we're more focused on seizures at the time and development. So we had a ton of people coming to our house all the time, home care, intervention of different kinds. There's times where they'd strap her to a wooden A-frame just so she could be standing upright. It was pretty intense. And then we noticed that she was just declining a little bit. She didn't walk until she was almost 2. So she just wasn't hitting her milestones really well. And when Hala was about 3, they did some more testing, and then they sent it all off to Manchester in the United Kingdom. And someone came back and said, I am working on this. This looks like Labrune syndrome. And that's when we heard there was 35 people in the world with it.
That's
or ever
crazy.
Diagnosed. Yeah. So they thought as an afterthought, because Ayva is already over her seizure medication, let's just test Ayva just to be sure. And unfortunately, she had it too.
So was it a component of genetics between you and their father that...
Yeah. So we, in 2015 or 16 or something, there was this big paper that came out. Dr. Yannick Crow is the specialist in United Kingdom, and I don't remember how many families were part of it, but we were number 45, but not out of 45. I just know that's who we were because they couldn't identify who we were. And so he just had notations of what the symptoms were, what this looked like, was it different for other people, and they did testing on her father and I, and then both of them, and it came back. There's a mutation on a gene called SNORD182. No, SNORD118, sorry. And I have that mutation. Cameron has that mutation. And it's a 1 in a billion chance that we would get together.
Right.
And then the girls got him. Yeah.
You're so quiet, Ayva.
Yeah.
You're taking this all in?
Yeah.
And did you want to add to something that your mom has said?
No, because I am not able to say how I was when I was a baby. So
Okay, but do you want to share maybe with our listeners how Labrune syndrome has affected your life?
sure. It has affected my life. in the way that sorry, I can't talk.
You can talk. You're doing just fine.
You're doing great.
Here, I'll start us off a little bit. So I would say, out of all of that stuff, one of the ways it's impacted us a lot, I wouldn't say the most, is doctors.
Yeah.
Like, holy smokes, do you guys have a lot of doctors? And where other kids are going to like camp or gymnastics or all the things, you guys are going to cardiologists and physiatrists and psychiatrists and neurologists all the time. So that would be, if I were sitting in your spot, I would think that would be something that would be pretty impactful on my life.
Yeah.
Like, how does that feel?
That feels
It's okay.
Do you love going to the doctor all the time? Like, is it a great time?
no.
It
it's
must
not.
be sad
Yeah, it's very sad. It is very
and
sad.
maybe a little scary.
It is really scary. Before my sister died, she went to like doctors and hospitals, like so much, and like more than me.
And what's your sister's name?
Halla's
Okay.
my sister. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Halla?
Okay. Halla was. Can I tell you how she was?
Absolutely.
Halla was the most amazing, like, special person in my life. I don't even know how to describe her. Yeah, she was just amazing and funny and like sweet. And I remember she cried at Golden Buzzers. And
Oh, America's Got Talent?
yeah, America's Got Talent.
Oh, if somebody got a golden buzzer, she would bawl. She was
So
happy.
you liked, you watched that with Halla then?
Yeah.
Very good.
She would laugh at the sad parts, and like and like if somebody fell down, she would cry. No, she would laugh.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
You stubbed your toe. Oh,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
kill
she
herself
would.
laughing at us.
Yeah, she would. Yeah, she is one of those people who you can't replace.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about her journey with Labrunes?
Well, okay.
Okay.
Good. You're on a roll. Go
Yeah.
for it.
Okay. She was fine until she got to 11.
Tell me what you mean by fine.
Like healthy and healthy.
Halla was walking, going to school, had friends, all of those fun things that you do when you're a kid.
Yeah.
She still had appointments, like she had an AFO on her leg, but there was small sort of impacts to her physical ability, and she was a little bit behind in school, so she ended up going to a program that she loved, the Goals program in Sherwood Park, just loved it. They were amazing with her, and yeah, she was great. And then 2016, she had her first brain surgery.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, and so I think, how old would she have been in 2016? Yeah, maybe 10? Okay, so from there.
So, 2016, which I don't know how old she was, but I don't know. She had her first brain surgery. She went out of it. No. She recovered. Um, well. And then 2008? No.
So, she was able to go without any other surgery. So she had heart surgery when she was 4, brain surgery in 2016, and then was good for 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Post that, like she still had her AFO and she still had those little like minor kind of inconvenience things, but she was
Can you
good.
tell us what an AFO is?
It's an ankle foot orthotic, so it's a brace that you kind of permanently wear. Not permanently, you take it off at night, but that you wear in your foot all the way up to your calf.
Okay. So
Ava's
it would
actually
help
getting one.
you to walk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She thought it made her run. So Halla would put it on, and she thought she had superpowers with this thing.
Excellent.
So she had that to kind of help her at the time. So that was the only, I think, accommodative device she had at that point was just that AFO. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm getting an AFO, so,
So you're going to
Amazing.
have superpowers?
Amazing, yeah.
Do you have difficulties with walking?
Yeah, I have like, how do I explain it? Like my feet, my toes, they start to curl.
Okay.
Like when I put my foot down, it like starts to curl, and that's not good because I can't wear certain shoes with it. Because like it just doesn't work for me. So yeah.
Is your left side weaker than your right?
Yes. My hand, this finger, has done this like weird thing, where it like curls. So you might see that, where it like curls, and I don't know what that is, but but it happens.
And so do you take sessions with a massage clinic to help you with the stiffness that Labrune causes?
We do have massage like therapists, but they don't know about Labrune syndrome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But does it ease the pain when
Oh, it
you
does.
go?
It does.
Yeah, they don't know all about the disease, but they know you have it, and they know you have that spasticity on that side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not like trained for like
Right.
that.
Specializing in
Yeah.
helping people with Labrune's.
Yeah.
Can I say why they're not? Because you don't want to
No.
go to places that are specialized like that. She doesn't want to have therapies that are related to like rehabilitation hospitals.
Okay.
It's incredibly triggering for her. So, yeah, Halla was like the Glen Rose, for example. Halla was there often and was an inpatient at different times during recovering from different surgeries. And if I say, well, we should go check out the Glen Rose to talk, no, hard no. It's hard because we have amazing hospitals here. They know what little they do know about this more than anybody else. But Ayva just has a really hard time walking in right now.
Yeah.
No. I even before Halla, me and Halla would dread the Glen Rose. Like we'd be like, why are we here? Like, why did you bring us here? and then Mom would be like, because they help you. And then it'd be like, they don't help us.
Have you ever met anyone else with Labrune's aside from your sister?
Can I say this?
Say whatever you want.
Okay. We're going to Washington to meet all the people who who have Labrune syndrome, and they're gonna do like tests on us for like 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
It is. So in Washington, D.C., there's a hospital out there. So there's two, I guess, kind of different areas that they're doing some research and treatment. Research, I shouldn't say treatment. But so the Washington, D.C. hospital is one, and then there's the hospital in Manchester.
Okay.
So we've done a ton of fundraising to send money to like the Washington, D.C. Center for this research because I can't imagine it's very profitable to research something that impacts so few people. So they need to they're run by donations basically. So about 3 years ago, they asked whoever could come out there. So to come out and meet with people. I just couldn't get the girls there at the time. And so they're doing it again. Post-COVID, they're going to do it again. And Ayva and I talked about it and decided we're going to go. So July 12th to 14th, we're going to go to Washington, D.C. and meet some people because we've never met anybody with Labrune syndrome. I have a few families I talked to over this small little Facebook group. A lot are in the UK, so I don't think that they're going to make the trek all the way there. But there are a few from the States that I kind of connect with, and we're going to go there. They're going to do an array of testing on all of the people who have Labrune syndrome, and they'll provide us with all of the testing, which I think will help some of our doctors here. And to make the trip a little bit more exciting, we're planning to then take the train to New York. We've never been to New York, and it's like Ava's like bucket list. She's always wanted to go to New York.
No,
So
Philly.
Oh yeah, we're going to drive to Philly because we thought it'd be really cool to say we went to Philly. So we're going to drive to Philly because, we're basically like Fresh Prince. And then we're going to take the train to New York. And that way it's not just this crappy medical journey, then we can end up in New York. So that's our plan.
Well, how fun. So what are you doing for fundraising to help you with your journey to Washington and to Philly?
Yes, don't forget about Philly.
Yes.
These shirts are for sale.
Excellent. Why don't you stand up and show us your shirt? Excellent. So where did these shirts come from?
A place, a tattoo, capital tattoo, Devin, makes these shirts. Yeah.
And how can our listeners and viewers help by purchasing a shirt? How would one go about doing that?
So you could buy them at Capital Tattoo.
Okay.
And it's over by Capilano Mall. I wish I had the address, but I don't. It's Jessica and Devin. So they're really good friends of ours. And they were going to do a donation to the fundraising for Ayva's Infusions, which I'm sure I'll touch on at some point. And Devin thought, well, what if I took the money I was going to donate and tried to make more from it? So he designed these shirts and he's selling them. And it's unreal. You have love and community in the most unexpected places. And and they're actually amazing shirts. So yeah, Capital Tattoo.
And how much are the shirts?
$40.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Ayva, you designed the back of that T-shirt.
Yes.
Did you want to show our viewers and listeners what it is on the back and talk a little bit about it?
Okay. So what made you put the anchor?
The anchor is a symbol of hope, and that's really what I need right now. Hope that this treatment will work. The infusions.
Since you brought it up, why don't we talk about this trial and the GoFundMe page and everything that you're doing with the help of the community to try this trial drug out?
We started fundraising. We started a GoFundMe after Ayva had a really large grand mal seizure at our house. So as we've kind of sort of explained, Hal has always been impacted a little more obviously than Ava has by the disease. So when Ava started to show those sort of signs of like the seizures that were uncontrolled and that sort of thing, she was old enough to be like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, this is it. So now I'm going to have seizures like Hala did. Then I'm going to have all of these things. This is it. And I said, well, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. We don't know very much. So she said she wanted to raise money so we could send it to hospitals so they can find a cure. That was the whole plan. So we started a GoFundMe in like 2019. We raised $25,000, sent it to Washington, D.C. To help with that research. Because at the time, we thought, well, that's where all the energy needs to be focused. I don't think we knew that there was going to be quite a slippery slope with the girls after that. So that all happened. It was great. We made T-shirts at that time too, different T-shirts and mugs, and did everything we could to just get it out there. Because no matter who you talk to, doctors included, nobody knows what Labrune syndrome is. So it kind of became like an advocacy thing. We need to get it out there. And it was the first thing that kind of opened the door to more openly talk about the girls having the disease. Because I didn't really talk about it with anyone. I would say things like they have lots of doctor's appointments, or they have a sickness, or I didn't even know how to explain what it was, because saying it to people is heart-wrenching. And so I just didn't. I kind of kept it in. And so this was our first like open door. We're going to talk about it. So that all happened. And then Hala had a really poor time with COVID. She got COVID last February. And she was on life support, or not last February, last April. She was on life support at the hospital. It was a really, really gruesome time. We thought she wasn't going to make it. So then we started trying to figure out how to make our home more accommodating for her. So we did some fundraising for that, because one of the things we know and we figured out in this world is anything that's rare, there's never any funding for. And if you need something right now, you have to somehow figure out how to get it. So any accommodation to your home, like we needed a wheelchair lift because I had to carry Hala now. She wasn't walking. To give her a bath, it was unreal. So we had to sort of get things quickly, because she did come out of her coma and was able to come home. And so we used some money to do stuff like that. And at the same time was fundraising for Avastin, which is a medication that has been trialed in the UK. It's typically used for people with cancer who have tumors on their brain that are inoperable. So they're in places where they can't get to, or they're too big or too complicated, or maybe there's other complications going along with not able to have the surgery. And it blocks some of the blood flow to that tumor, so it stops it from growing. So it pauses the growth of it. In the UK, the 2 patients that trialed this medication, they noticed that the cysts weren't growing. And when we look at Hala was mostly impacted because she had several cysts all over her brain. Some of them we could reduce the size of, some of them we couldn't, some were in places you couldn't get to. So initially we were fundraising for her, and then she became too palliative. It was too risky to try it on her. So then we started fundraising for Ayva to try it. Ayva said she wanted to. She was watching what was happening with Hala. We had to make a really heartbreaking decision. So when it came time that Hala was able to trial it, how it was explained is what it could do is pause the progression of the disease. That's the hope. That's the one good thing that can come out of it. Obviously, the risks to any medication, especially a cancer medication, are pretty severe. But if she were to try it, we would be keeping her at the state that she's currently at. So if we were to give her the medication, the infusions every 2 weeks, we wouldn't be making her life any better. And at that time, she couldn't eat, and food was her favorite thing in the world. So she couldn't eat, she couldn't walk, she could barely say anything. She couldn't go to the bathroom on her own, all of the things. And so knowing that it wasn't going to improve her quality of life, which I know because she was very much aware, she knew what she wanted to be doing and she wasn't able to do any of it. I thought it was more torturous for her than anything else. So we opted out of that. And then when we were talking to the doctors about Ayva, I said, well, if we're talking about pausing the progression of the disease and keeping them, what if we can keep Ayva where she's at? Where she graduated from high school and she did, like, she has goals and things that she wants to do, and she's asked, like, that's her biggest thing. She wants more time. And those are her words. That's not my, like, I want the world for my kids, obviously, but I said, okay, well, so we did it, and we got to the doctors. They said, if you can do whatever you can do, we're going to do stuff on our side. We're going to fundraise. We'll talk to all sorts of organizations, because it's an off-label use of a medication.
Right.
There's no funding for it. So we've gone through every kind of funding organization. So the outcome of all of that is we fundraised like crazy. We went on the news. There's the T-shirts. Ayva wrote a book.
Yes, why don't you tell us a little bit about the book?
I wrote this book because, like, all the doctors and all the people who I talked to are like, what's Labrune syndrome? Or like, the doctors are like, again, what's that? And I just wrote this book so that it's all down on paper, and these people don't have to ask me anymore, because it's right here. It's in the book.
And you're fundraising with that book. It's called Inside Out. Who helped you to write this book?
Rob Sudgett with Sudgett Publishing. Oh yeah, it was a Wish. With like a Wish Foundation.
And you're selling the book for $20.
I'm selling the book for $20.
The book you wrote, you were granted a wish from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So if you have a life-limiting disease, that's a qualification for a wish. Hala's wish was to go to Mexico. We went to Mexico. Hers was, we'll go to Mexico, and I want to sit on the beach and eat guacamole. And that's all we did for a week. I was like, is there any way we can go check something out and take a tour? No. We ate guacamole on the beach every single day. I think we all came home about 15 pounds heavier. So when Ayva got her chance, she said she wanted to write a book. She wanted to be a published author. And initially she was going to write a book about, something very like Vampire Diary-ish. She started it, and then she's like, no, I want to write a book to talk about my story, because nobody understands my story. Okay, so I didn't actually get to read this book until it was fully completed, because she gave me one page and I started bawling. Oh. And she's like, okay, that's it. You can't read it. So her publisher wouldn't show it to me. Nobody would, because I didn't even know it was in it until it was in its copy, and I got to read it, and it's really, really good.
Now she gets to cry.
Yeah.
When you read it?
When I read it. Yeah. It's it was really good. It's mind-blowing, because it talks about how it is. I think people could relate to it in different ways, not just Labrune syndrome, but when you have a child or somebody who has something like this, something that's impacting them this way, in this kind of life-limiting way, what they're feeling. Because we go to hospitals all the time. The doctors and nurses kind of just move you through. She's given this book to some of those nurses and doctors that we've known for so long, and they always come back and say, I genuinely love and I appreciate this perspective. Like, they get to know a little bit more about their patients and what that's like. So it is really, really good. And I'm not even it's really good. So Capital Tattoo has some for sale there. The makers put them in their 4 stores, which is really great. And Audreys Books Downtown is where she had her book launch. So there's some books there too.
So Ayva, this question is geared for you. I'd like to know some of the biggest challenges that you've faced outside of what we've already discussed as a result of your condition.
I didn't get a chance to write my diploma. I didn't get a chance to write my diploma. Or
why?
Because near the end of high school, I couldn't write.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't write, so I needed an EA. Mrs. Rogers. Sorry. Mrs. Rogers to write for me and just to be my second hand.
That must have been very, very difficult.
Yeah, it was. It was. It was like I got this book like just to like write all my notes in, and like I like wrote down a sentence, and then my hand started shaking, and then I couldn't write anymore. I couldn't.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't. I just couldn't.
And what about now? Are you able to write now?
No.
No, okay.
So Ayva is left-hand dominant and always has been. And she lost the ability to use her left hand a couple of years ago. So had to start trying with her right hand, which we all know is like impossible.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's so difficult. And so that was a really big challenge, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Your left side is definitely more impacted than your right. You want to talk about how at school you were bullied?
At school, I was, especially in middle school, I was severely bullied, and no one like did anything about it. My principal, not to hate on my principal, but my principal just gave them like a week's like detention thing, and like didn't take their phones. Yeah, she took my phone, but not theirs. Yeah, it was just really I just really struggled with the fact that like I asked for help, and she didn't do anything about it.
So you felt really unsupported at school.
Yeah. And then I go to high school, and I was bullied again. In grade 10 and in grade 11. The bullying was about the fact that like I like can't do any, like, not that I can't do anything, but like that I can't do anything as well as the other students. It was just, oh my god, it was horrible.
So how is your mental health with all of the struggles that you've had?
Oh yeah, can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
In the book, you're gonna meet Karen, and Karen is like changed. Their name is changed to Karen, and Karen made my life like a living hell in middle school.
And has Karen ever apologized to you?
No. She wrote to this day. She's texted me, like, I'm sorry about Hala, and then like I'll buy a book, like when I get a chance, and yeah, I'm done with her. There was like a time when I was like, oh, she's gonna snap out of this, she's gonna want to be my friend again, and yeah, and then I'd see her in the hallway, and she would like literally like laugh at me, and I was like, okay, maybe not today, but but she's gonna want to be my friend again, and I think it was grade 12 when I realized she's not gonna be my friend. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
That sometimes people are. Yeah, that's all.
Kids
yeah,
are cruel.
I'm really sorry that you experienced that. My oldest daughter, was also a victim to being bullied in school, so my heart breaks.
Oh, it's really horrible.
It's horrible enough to be going through this and then adding that on top of what you're already going through, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
I would say all of that impacted your overall self-esteem, because when she was in grade like 11 and 12, when this is all happening, she wouldn't talk to anyone. I'd drop her off at school. She'd go in. She'd do her classes. She would leave. She didn't talk. I would be like, "Who'd you talk to in class today? Did you make any friends today?" She wouldn't. She was terrified. She said, "Everybody's just going to laugh at me or make fun of me."
Right.
Or she thought they were for, just because of her own experience with it. She didn't get to have that like high school experience where you get to date boys and have goofy friends and maybe try to smoke, which I'm glad you didn't. Sorry. But like she didn't get to do those things because she was always on guard all the time, thinking people were just poking fun. And it seemed when Hala passed away and people heard about it, these kids that because she went to the same elementary, junior high, and high school with the same crew.
Yeah.
Which sounds lovely. I would highly recommend no one ever do that. But those people that were awfully mean to her or would make her the butt of their jokes, all of a sudden were sending her messages about how sorry they were. So Ayva was reading them to me. It was over like Instagram or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's wild to me, because 4 years ago, you're in the bathroom stall crying because of them. And now they're making it seem like they're so sad because your sister passed away and you guys were such good friends then. And that's not what that was. It was, it's a... Yeah.
She's like, yes. So, tell me some of the things that you do to find happiness and joy and fulfillment in your life.
Oh, that all comes from my mom.
Aw. Aw.
What?
Don't. I put mascara on today.
Aw. That's so sweet.
Yeah, she would like get me out of the house, because even if I didn't want to go, she would get me out of the house, just to say that we did something today, or to like get my mind off of like the horrible things that are happening to me, or
Right.
or I love my mom, like
Aw.
like she,
Bless you. Aw, Ayva, that's so sweet.
I'll
she
give you the money after we go. Thanks for saying that.
she
I'm kidding.
she is my best friend, my
Aw.
mom. So anything that I've done, all goes to my mom.
Oh, that's very sweet. How does that make you feel, Lindsey?
Oh, sorry. I'm regretting the choice to put mascara on today. Makes me feel good. One of the things I can say is I actually saw a meme about it. I think there's a meme about everything, but the hardest thing you could ever go through is watching your child go through something you can't fix.
Yeah.
And that'll go back to like, your daughter being bullied or anything that's happening. And it's to watch my girls go through all of this has been, well, it's just changed me as a person for one. And my focus is just them. And I've always said, like, I'm with you through all of it. I can't fix anything. I can't help. I can be an advocate and I can talk as loud as I can and I can share with everyone, but I can't stop this from happening. But you're not going to go through it alone. Like, I'm here. So they've never stayed at the hospital by themselves. I've gone to every school activity they've ever been in. Like, I just... Oh, I feel like I'm on the stand now.
That's true.
Just because I don't want to say this is the silver lining in it, but there is a bit of a silver lining where life is short. And those things where it's like, oh, we should go do this, one day, became all of a sudden my reality to do it now. So I've taken them to Maui, just saved and drained my account. Let's go to Maui. Let's have an experience. Let's go to Arizona. Like it was never
Let's go to Mexico.
well, that was a Make-A-Wish, but yeah, we went. Yeah, it's always been, if I could do it, anything in my power, we would do it now, because I never knew when we'd be able to do things again. And it makes me feel seen a little bit, right? You put so much, moms in general put so much on hold when you have kids and you just invest in them. I didn't know she knew that, so.
Aww. Yeah. That's nice that you validated that today, Ava. That's very special. Did you guys have anything else that you would like our listeners and viewers to know about Ava, her book, Hala, maybe Lindsey, how to donate for your trips, fundraising?
So we haven't fundraised for the trip to Washington. We're kind of pooling our money together for that. But so right now, Ava started infusions of that medication. It's actually called Advocacy. It's a biosimilar medication to Avastin. And she goes every 2 weeks. We go to the U of A for infusions through an IV. So she's there. And
how is that working out for you? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. It's really annoying because like they like put the IV in and I'm like trying not to pass out and they have to do it like again and again because like my like veins are like rock hard. So like yeah. And yeah, it's just not fun. Not a fun time.
And the cost for the medication?
Each infusion costs $3,000. So she gets one every 2 weeks. So $6,000 a month, roughly, depending on, how many weeks in a month, I suppose. But yes, so even the nurses there joke because it's incredibly expensive that when they're giving her the infusion that they give every last drop because every drop is probably worth $100. Like it's crazy. It's like liquid gold. She's not reacting poorly to the infusion so far. She's had 3 full infusions.
I thought I had 4.
No, 3. Remember, you've sat in the 3 chairs. You haven't sat on the 4th chair yet. Anyway, and what it does do, though, so part of Labrune syndrome is, again, because it's your brain, it makes them quite weak. And the medication kind of increases that weakness. So that's one thing that we have been seeing would be her weakness is getting a little bit more obvious. But
like immune or?
Well, her immune for sure. So
Okay.
she can't be around anybody who has colds just after having this because it kind of drains your immune system for sure. But more like her body weakness. Like she was going to pick up a cup the other day and couldn't, and just as she had just had the infusion the day or before or 2 days before. So it really kind of kicks her ass a little bit that way. And then it gradually gets a little bit better. I ended up having to take Ava. Oh, sorry, kick her butt. I ended up having to take her to the hospital last week because we thought there might have been an interaction because she was basically acting like she was on mushrooms. I don't know if I can say that, but that's the only thing I could compare it to. Like she was staring at her hand funny.
Well, that's looking into your past.
Yes, exactly. It's like, when did I feel like that ever?
Sorry.
Yeah. And so and her eyes were like saucers and she wasn't making sense. Her sentences weren't very coherent. She's like, couldn't get words out at all. And that's one thing that's obviously changed for you is your ability to get the words out that you want. But so positive side is that they did do a scan and there hasn't been a progression of the cyst since we started the infusions. So that, whether or not that was an interaction of Lord knows what, it could be a number of things, but no progression so far. And when we got the side effects for this medication, it's 4 pages long. and you read it all, you're like, holy smokes. Like if she were to cut her leg right now, it probably wouldn't clot. If like just tons and tons of stuff. But her body's
Nausea,
taking
vomiting,
it. Yeah, oh yes.
diarrhea.
Oh yes. And rectal bleeding. I remember I had to say that. I'm like, hey, I don't know how to tell you. I don't know if this should be on there. But I don't know how to tell you this, but you need to wear black pants when you go to the infusion. And we just try and make light of it a little bit. Like, and then we laugh. Okay, if you're bleeding out of your butt, make sure you let me know. She's like, will do. Okay. Like, it's just a weird reality, I think. But
And yet, here you are still like in the most positive energy ever.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I've always liked to smile. I think if you're negative, it just makes like life seem more negative, and I don't know, with the disease that I have, I don't want to be negative.
Very good.
and that's Ayva. I went through her baby book the other day, and one of the comments I put is, this kid just doesn't stop smiling. And it's been her whole 19 years of life. Like, just a ray of light, positivity, love, just would do anything for anyone. Always. That's always been who she is. And that's how you get me through things. That's the balance you have in this. You are always my biggest cheerleader, and you're just, yeah. You
Now
make
I'm
me
gonna
excited
cry.
about the next day. That's just it. Where Hala was not the most positive person. She she was incredibly sassy,
Yes.
like so sassy, and she liked to swear, and she's a little bit, yeah, she's just Hala. I don't even know how to explain it, but just really hilarious, really funny. Sometimes you get a little bit negative, but again, with her, they have this spark and this desire to be here that I think some of us just need. Some things we just take for granted, and then I watch and I think, you guys are fighting so hard. Like, even all this fundraising, sitting here talking to you about some of our deepest, darkest, most vulnerable moments. It's all so Ayva gets a chance to keep living, so that we can fundraise and get money for medication that'll give her more time. Like, that's, at some point, somebody would give up on that. And it's just not the case.
Good for you. You have a very good outlook on life, for sure.
Also, what else gives you joy? Do you work at a daycare?
I work at a daycare.
In Sherwood Park?
In Sherwood Park.
Excellent.
I think it's called
Strathcona Child Development Center. Strathcona Child Development Center. I don't know why but
and I just love like everyone that I work with, and I love the kids.
Aww.
They're gonna be I don't know if like graduating
Oh, okay.
to like another room.
Okay.
And I'm gonna get new kids, but I'm like literally gonna miss. I like cry
Aww.
every time I get new kids because it's like, what? They're gone.
Aww.
they love her. I've been there. We dropped off donuts one day, and they're all like,
Yeah.
Teacher Ayva! She's
Aw.
like a little celebrity there. Yeah. And this is what she looks like, walking in and walking out. Like, I've never, like a hanger is stuck in her mouth. She'll say, okay, I got to go to the daycare today. So she volunteered there for over a year.
Yeah.
And then
Aw.
when she graduated, she did her early childhood education. It was kind of like a partnership between that daycare and Portage College and Salisbury High School. Ayva completed that. She did amazing. So now she has her
A
level-
minus.
She got an
Oh.
A minus, like
Nice.
amazing.
Very good.
So now she's a level 1 childcare provider. So then
Wow.
she spoke to the director, and said, I still want to volunteer because I want it to be fun, but can I
Yeah.
get paid 1 day a week? So now she gets paid 1 day a week to be there,
Aww.
and still loves going. I don't know.
I couldn't have done this if it wasn't for Hala. Yeah. Gonna just say that because then I'm gonna cry. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think initially when Ayva, we started talking about this medication and all of that, Ayva had a lot of like guilt that she got to try it and Hala didn't. And I could, yeah, like she passed away and now I get to try this. Why do I get a chance? It was a lot of that sort of thought process. And one of the things I said, which I genuinely believe, is Hala got to where she got in her life, which
Wasn't very far.
wasn't very far, but
She was 16?
15 when she passed away.
15.
She'll be 16 May 28th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was, people tell you your kids are going to have a life-limiting, or anybody hears a life-limiting disease or terminal, and you don't ever think the day is actually going to come. No matter how prepared you think you are. People think, oh, well, you've known this all along. It's probably fine. I have somebody close to me who said, well, it was 3 weeks after she passed away. Well, it's been 3 weeks. Like, why are you still upset? I'm like, my cat didn't die. Like, this is my child. She's my, I don't know. So there's people who just don't understand. And
Everyone grieves differently.
everyone does. Totally. And it's not something that just I'd never known grief like this until Hala passed away, or until the last year. I literally stayed home because she was dying. Every day she'd be less and less herself. And the palliative team was like, it's happening. So I stayed home with her every second I possibly could. Because I knew in my mind, I'm never going to get this time back. I also didn't want her to ever be alone. But then there's that part of you that thinks, but this isn't actually going to happen. Like, she's going to bounce out of this like she typically would, and it's going to be fine. And it wasn't. But through all that, Hala's strength had us still continuing to advocate, writing the book. Like she's mentioned throughout Ayva's book, I think it starts off with her biggest fear is her sister's going to die soon. So she hadn't passed away at that time.
Yeah.
So it was just it captures that sort of reality. But her strength was just amazing. And I know that Hala wanted you to get a chance. So all the stuff we did leading up to now, which really, emphasized Hala in a few different ways because she was going through so much, you get to see some benefit from that. She's helping you in that. You know what I mean? She's our strength in that. Yeah, she would want this for you. She'd want you to make all these memories and then go up and share them with her, so she could hear how everything's going. She would want you were her best friend.
Okay, now I'm gonna cry. I want to make more memories and do all the things and do all the things I can. So then when I go up to see Hala, I can tell her all the stories and all the things and all the things that I did and things that I accomplished, and yeah, that I just want to do that, and I want her to laugh at me because I'm so old. Because she'd laugh at me. Yeah. I want that when I finally go up to heaven. I want that.
It's not a bad goal.
No.
Tell me about your necklace.
My necklace?
Yeah.
It's Hala's fingerprint and my fingerprint, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I wear it so that I'm always with her. My mom has one too.
I do. I have, when Hala had passed, she passed at home. And
Very hard. Very hard.
yeah. And there's so many things that people don't prepare you for that is probably a good thing, I suppose. But one of the things, kind of the benefit of having a team like a palliative team, which was helpful, is they took, when she was brought to the funeral home, they took imprints of her fingers and her hands and her feet for me. It wasn't anything I had even thought of. So they did this so that they could have these necklaces made. And so I have her hand and her foot. They took fingers and hand and foot, and which one do you want? I'm like, well, I want all of them, because those are like the imprints of I want them. So on the back is also her fingerprint, so that we could have all of those things. And a friend of mine whose son had also passed away due to illness like that. I messaged her when Hala wasn't doing well, and what was one thing you did that you look back on and think, oh, I'm so glad I did that? Because I had no idea. She made a little cement mold of their hands. So we did that with Hala the night before she passed away. So I have my hand holding her hand, and Ayva has her hand holding her hand. So just like small little things at the time, you just kind of forget about it. Now I'm like, oh, I'm so glad, because I touch my necklace all the time. Like if I think about her, I just like can feel her. Same thing with the hand. And
I noticed, that's why I asked, because I noticed Ayva touched her necklace quite a few times since you've been sitting here. So I was wondering if there was any significance with the necklace.
You're bringing on your Hala. I'm appreciative of you giving us time to say all of this stuff. Like, I don't know how you're going to piece it together.
Trust me, he'll do it.
I'm sure it's going to be amazing. When people hear about Ayva and Hala, sometimes it's a little bit shocking, I think, and they kind of put themselves, they empathize a little bit or attempt to. And I've had people, so like you, that have said, I'd love to see if I can help in some way. I have Jess and Devin from a tattoo shop. I had a woman in Sherwood Park who, Backyard Creations, who made these little, maybe I have one. Yeah, I do. You put them in like shopping carts instead of a quarter.
Oh, okay.
But she kind of had it engraved with Hala, all like HA on it for Hala.
Okay.
And she just did it as a bit of a fundraiser randomly in the Sherwood Park Moms group. Like it was just, and she raised over $700 just making these little wooden coins that people were using. Like people want to help in whatever way they can. And like not all people, for sure. Over the years, we've lost lots of friends and family and stuff because nobody quite gets our reality. But the people that come out during times like this are just, they keep us going. It's funny to me. Like, you want to hear our story? Okay, let's go over there and tell our story. Like, I feel like sure, we're grateful. Anybody who'd listen, always.
Well, our clients, Nick, our social media manager, sent out a newsletter, and so far, Sparkle and Sheen has raised $1,150.
That's crazy. That's amazing. Yeah, shocking to me. And we're so grateful.
Basically, from this podcast, we're hoping to raise some awareness to get more funds. At the end of the day, that would be my end goal for you, is to be around as long as you possibly can. You know, enjoy whatever time you have left. Make memories with your mom, your best friend.
Like, we're going to go to New York. She said, Mom, I have a very serious question for you. Okay, what is it? Are you willing to stay up past 9 o'clock if we go to New York? I'm like, good question. It is very serious. Why do we have to stay up? Well, I want to see Times Square at night. I was like, okay, I think at least one night I can stay up past 9.
It's very busy at Times Square. Very, very busy.
I know, but
Do you know?
I don't know.
You just always wanted to go.
Yeah.
And go to Central Park. There's a huge M&M store at Times Square. The lineup is usually wrapped all the way around the block, but it's well worth waiting to get inside.
Awesome. So that's it. We're going to do as much as we can. make some memories while we're doing it. And yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. And remember to be kind. And thanks for tuning in.